All right, Algebra 1, we are getting into Chapter 2 here, adding polynomials. This is where we are really starting to get into our algebra. So first up, dealing with polynomials, we're not going to do a bell ringer here. We're just going to jump right into our notes. Okay, so let's start filling in these blanks here. So first up, a polynomial. Algebraic expressions made up of monomials or the sum or difference. So what you can see here, like this 3x to the fourth is a monomial, 5x squared is a monomial, 7x is a monomial, 1 is a monomial. So when you have multiple monomials being added or subtracted together, that is a polynomial. Poly just means many, and then nomial is just your terms here with the variables and numbers and stuff. Okay? Next. Standard form. Standard form just means this right here, fancy word, descending order. That just means we're going from the highest power to the lowest power, okay? So descending order, okay? See that word here, descending order. What I would write underneath that, highest power to lowest power. Okay, that's an important thing to know. We're going to talk about standard form a lot throughout the year, so make sure you understand what that term means. Standard form means highest power to lowest power. All right, so three basic terms that we will talk about and need to be able to understand. Monomial, like I just talked about there. The prefix mono means one, so a monomial is a polynomial with one term. Binomial, if you think about a bicycle that you ride, has two wheels, so a binomial is a polynomial with two terms. And then a trinomial, like a tricycle, is a tricycle has three wheels, so a trinomial is a polynomial with three terms. All right, so let's name some stuff here. I already have my table filled in, so if you need to pause the video and fill this in while I'm going through it, feel free to do that. So I'm going to jump through this table kind of quickly here. So number of terms, and then name it using the number of terms. So first up, 7x plus 4 has two terms. That is a binomial. 3x squared plus 2x plus 1, that has three terms. That is a trinomial. 4x to the third, that has one term. That's monomial. Okay, that's a monomial. 9x to the fourth plus 3x to the third minus 5x squared plus 1. That's got four terms, and we don't have a fancy term for that, so we basically just say that's a polynomial of four terms. And then the number 5 is just one term, so that's back to a monomial. Okay, so if you need to pause the video and write those down, go ahead and do that. I'm going to jump forward and get into these examples. So, what you need to remember here, we're adding these, all we're doing is combining like terms, right? But what you need to remember is in order for them to have like terms, they need to have the same variable and the same exponent. So what I mean here is x squared and 9x have the same variable, they're both x's, but they don't have the same exponent. This has a 2 and this has a 1. So we cannot add them together because they don't have the same exponent. They're not like terms, okay? So what we want to do, this is my suggestion, is I would write these down in columns. So I'd say x squared minus 9x plus 3, and then anything that has an x squared term, I'm going to put it in this term. So plus 2x squared. Anything that has an x, I'm going to put it in this column. So plus x. And any numbers with no variables, I'm going to put it in this column. So minus 4. And you always want to remember that whenever you're writing these down, make sure you take that sign that's in front of it. So that's why I didn't write a plus 4, I wrote a minus 4. And the plus x, because I had a plus in front of it, and the 2x had a plus in front of it. Okay, so now we're ready to add our terms. So when we add the terms, really all we're doing is adding the numbers in front of the variables. So if there is no number in front of it, just remember that's like a 1. So 1x squared plus 2x squared gives us 3x squared. Now you may want to use your calculator for this if you don't remember adding integers here. Let me clean up this. This kind of looks like a 4. Let me just fix that real quick because I tried to squeeze a 1 in there and made it look like a 4. So negative 9 plus 1, that's a negative 8. So there's negative 8x, and then 3 minus 4 is negative 1. This is all we're doing in this section, okay? But this is an important skill to have because we're going to need to be able to add like terms in future sections. So you have to make sure that you understand how to do this concept because later on this will be just part of the problems that we're doing later on. So if you can't do this now by itself, later on when it becomes part of a different problem, you're not going to be able to finish out those problems. So make sure you understand how to do these little things now. All right, next, B. Again, I have 6x squared plus 4y squared plus 5x squared minus 3y squared. Again, these have same exponents, they're both squared, but they have different variables. So these are not like terms, okay? Remember, they have to have the same variable and the same exponent. All right, so again, first thing I'm doing is I'm writing my like terms down in columns. So 6x squared plus 4y squared. This one had a 5x squared, so I wrote it in the same column with the x squareds. This one had a negative 3y squared, so I wrote it in the same column with the 4y squared. So now I go through, let's get rid of this, and I add my numbers out front. 6x squared plus 5y squared, probably should have had a plus in front of this 5 here. 6x squared plus 5x squared is 11x squared. Okay, 6x squared plus 5x squared is 11x squared. And then I had 4y squared minus 3y squared is 1y squared. You can have a 1 there if you want to. Really, algebraically, we don't put the 1 there, but if you have it there, that's okay. All right, next one. Let's do this one together because we have a lot of stuff going on here. And again, I'm going to start out by putting them in columns. So I have 7y squared minus 3y. Now look, we have two like terms here, 3y and negative 3y and plus 4y. They're like terms. I'm going to put them in the same column. Even though they were in the same set of parentheses, they're like terms. They're going in the same column. On to my next row, 8y squared. So plus 8y squared. I'm putting that in the same column with the 7y squared. You could bump that up there and put it right next to the 4y if you want to. I'm just trying to keep them separate. Plus 3y to the fourth. Well, I don't have a y to the fourth over here. So where should that go? Well, remember, we need the highest exponents to go first. So I am actually going to put that one out front. Remember, the highest exponents need to be out front. That's called descending order. Biggest exponents out front. Plus 4y. Okay, now remember, I have two of these 4y terms. There's one there and there's one there. So make sure you have two of them written down here because it's very important that we have all of our terms. Okay, now I'm ready. First column is my y to the fourths. Well, I only had one of those, so not a whole lot to do there. 3y to the fourth. Now I'm on to my y squareds. 7y squared plus 8y squared. Add your numbers. 7 plus 8 is 15. So I got 15y squareds. Now we're on to these. Now we have three different y terms, but that's okay. Just take your calculator. Your calculator won't enter variables, but we can still enter these numbers. Do negative 3 plus 4 plus 4, and we should get a 5. Negative 3 plus 4 is 5, and then we just need to bring that y along with it. So here is our final answer. All right, next one here. I have it done for us, so let's see what we got. Again, I'm going to rewrite this first one, 7a to the third minus a plus 3a squared. But when I do this, again, I'm going to put them in order, descending order, highest power to lowest power, 7a to the third plus 3a squared minus a. And then if you look in this next one over here, I didn't have an a to the third. My highest power was a squared, so I put that in the column with the a squareds. And then I had a minus 3a, I put that in the column with the a's, and then I had the minus 4 that was out here by itself. So I had a 7a to the third by itself out front, and I had a minus 4 by itself at the back. Add up your columns. Bring down the 7a to the third. Nothing to combine with that one, so that's pretty simple. Bring it down. Add your a squareds. 3 plus 8 is 11. Negative a, again remember, negative a, whoops. Let's get rid of that red mark I had there. Negative a is the same thing as a negative 1a, if you want to put a 1 in there to remember. Add in your calculator, negative 1 minus 3 is a negative 4. And then this negative 4 here we brought down. There's your final answer. All right, last one here. We want to write and simplify a polynomial expression that represents the perimeter. Hopefully we remember what perimeter means. The perimeter of the rectangle shown below here, and show all of our work. So first of all, perimeter. Well, perimeter just means that we're going to add up all of these sides. So the top and the bottom, the left and the right, add up all of the sides. Now, if you don't know what these little marks mean right here, this mark and this mark, that means those side lengths are the same length. So what that means is if the top is 9c minus 10, that means that the bottom is also 9c minus 10. And that also means that if the side has two little tick marks, and this side has two tick marks, then that means if this is 5c plus 2, then this side over here is also 5c plus 2. All right, so that helps us now when we're doing our perimeter. So we're going to add up all of these sides, okay? So we're going to say the left side, let's start with the left. So 5c plus 2 plus my top side, okay? My top side was 9c minus 10 plus my right side was 5c plus 2 plus the bottom side was another 9c minus 10. All right, so once I have this, now I'm just going to ignore that shape and just say, let's just pretend that this is the problem that we were given. Okay, so let's put all of our like terms in a column. So 5c plus 2, and then I had a 9c minus 10, and then I had a 5c plus 2 again, and I had another 9c minus 10. So I'm ready to add up my like terms here. Okay, I'm ready to add up my terms, so let's see. What do we get here? Let's add these together, all right? So let's add these c terms. So 5 plus 9 plus 5 plus 9. So do that in your calculator, and you should get 28c. And now let's move on to our other numbers. So we're going to do 2 minus 10 plus 2 minus 10, and we get a negative 16. So our final answer is 28c minus 16 for our final perimeter. Okay? And again, if you have any questions on these, rewind, watch the problem again, and if you're still unsure, send me a message, send me an email, and let me know, and I will get back to you and try to help you out with those problems.